Welcome to Follow the Lies, Fraud and Deceit Uncovered. I'm Kevin Barrows, former FBI special agent and lead case agent on major fraud investigations, now at Renaissance Associates, and co-host of Smithsonian Channel's Sports Detectives. It's 2025, and sports memorabilia isn't just a niche hobby for nostalgia buffs anymore. It's a billion-dollar alternative asset class. These items have become modern-day museum-quality artifacts, pieces of history people invest in like fine art. Online marketplaces, fanatics, eBay, and countless websites promise guaranteed authenticity with holograms and certificates. Then came the confession that shattered everything. One dealer, operating from a quiet Indiana warehouse, allegedly flooded the market with millions of fakes, forged signatures, counterfeit holograms, fake provenance, raking in hundreds of millions, while destroying collectors' trusts and dreams. In July 2025, a raid, a shocking Facebook manifesto, and a tragic end exposed a scheme bigger than anything the FBI had ever seen before. Back in the 1990s and early 2000s, the FBI went after this kind of forgery in a big way. Operation Foul Ball in Chicago took down a ring faking autographs of Chicago stars like Michael Jordan. Then Operation Bullpen in San Diego built on that intel. Agents posed as distributors, shipping to Asia, bought fake memorabilia, and got over 1,000 consensual recordings of forgers bragging about their scams. One even joked Mickey Mantle was still signing from the grave. After over 60 convictions, the message was clear. Large-scale forgery was finished. Authentication companies stepped up with new security measures. Collectors breathed a sigh of relief. I was in the New York FBI office at the time and remember hearing about these operations. Like everyone else, I thought it could never happen again. Until it did. Let's follow the lies. Now that you've got the big picture, let me give you a quick sense of why this case piqued my interest. In addition to my FBI experience, I'm a private investigator and co-hosted Smithsonian Channel's Sports Detectives, where we track down missing sports history and expose forgery in the memorabilia world. So cases like this one are very familiar to me. In Follow the Lies, we dig deep into high-stakes cases across the deception spectrum, from corporate fraud to sports scams, revealing how the lies are built and how investigators pull them apart. Today, the Brett Lemieux memorabilia forgery scandal, how one man is reported to have faked millions of items, the lasting effects on collectors in the industry, and why this kind of forgery still undermines confidence in the collectibles market. If these kinds of stories interest you, real fraud cases, insider perspective, and lie detector tips you can actually use, hit subscribe now so you don't miss the next one. And if you're on YouTube, tap the bell to never miss an episode. Now let's see how this massive forgery scheme took hold. After Bullpen and Foul Ball shut down the big forgery rings in the early 2000s, the industry breathed a sigh of relief. Authentication got serious. Holograms, witness signings, serial numbers tracked in databases. Collectors felt safe again. Then Brett Lemieux saw an opening. Around 2018, he founded Mr. Mancave in Westfield, Indiana, but his business had been operating under various other names for almost 2 decades. His online store looked completely legit. Thousands of items, competitive prices, and those all-important holograms and certificates from trusted names. But behind the scenes, Lemieux was allegedly running one of the largest and most sophisticated forgery operations in history. He used autopens, machines that mimic signatures, to crank out fakes on a massive scale. He replicated holograms from every major authenticator, creating counterfeit certificates of authenticity, or COAs, that looked flawless. He hired artists to forge details and produce fakes by the thousands. He sold through his own site and other platforms, undercutting real prices and flooding the market. In his own confession, he admitted that after Kobe Bryant's tragic death in 2020, his company alone released 80,000 fake Kobe items. The total scale? Reportedly over 4 million forged pieces, with sales topping $350 million. The scheme was brutally simple yet devastating. No sophisticated hacking, no violence, no insider access, just skilled forgeries, fake guarantees, and an online storefront. It looked low effort on the surface, but it was massively destructive because trust and authentication was so fragile. Collectors lost millions on worthless fakes that flooded the market, driving down prices for legitimate pieces and impacting everyone: fans, investors, even authenticators whose reputations were damaged. These weren't just financial losses, they were personal. Many people buy these items for memories, legacy, and connection, a tangible piece of a hero from their youth they can actually hold. Stories like one collector who proudly displayed a signed Peyton Manning jersey in his home until he learned it was likely fake. He didn't mention the money he lost. He mentioned the embarrassment, the quiet sting of having something he thought was real exposed as counterfeit. It was personal. That was the scheme. But how do you catch a forger hiding behind legitimate-looking holograms and online sales? That's when the real work started. Stories like these are why I started Follow the Lies. If you're getting value from this, subscribe now and tap the bell if you're on YouTube so you never miss the next one. The investigation into Brett Lemieux started with a single complaint. In February 2025, a woman in North Carolina bought autographed memorabilia from Mr. Mancave. When she suspected it was fake, she reported it to the Westfield Police Department in Indiana, where Lemieux's company was based. Fortunately, the police took it seriously. They interviewed her, then started talking to other victims. Complaints kept rolling in. Pretty quickly, it became obvious this wasn't one bad sale. This was a massive forgery ring. Collectors and dealers in the sports memorabilia community had suspected Lemieux for years. His prices were too low, his inventory too huge, his supply too consistent. Whispers had been circulating for a while. On July 15, 2025, police raided Mr. Mancave's warehouses and Lemieux's home. What they found was staggering. Thousands of forged items, auto pen machines, fake holograms from every major authenticator. The operation was sophisticated. Lemieux had hired artists to mimic signatures and details, and he used online platforms to ship fakes nationwide. The next day, July 16, officers returned for a follow-up search. That's when they found Lemieux dead from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. Just before he died, he posted a lengthy manifesto on Facebook's Autographs 101 group and admitted everything. He bragged about selling over 4 million fakes, pulling in $350 million. He detailed how, after Kobe Bryant's death in 2020, his company dumped 80,000 counterfeit Kobe items into the market. He talked about the addiction and the thrill of bringing huge memorabilia shops to their knees. That manifesto was a goldmine for investigators, a roadmap for the investigation. It named accomplices, explained the auto pen process, and laid out exactly how he forged holograms. Police, with FBI assistance, kept digging, identifying potential co-conspirators and recovering evidence from the warehouses. Lemieux's scheme attacked the entire authentication infrastructure. He started small, a $150 auto pen from Amazon, then scaled up. He claimed people overseas would vectorize signatures, turned scanned images into a mathematical format for perfect replication with an auto pen. That explained the signatures. But the holograms? That was the real game changer. He said his operation exploded after an associate found the hologram connect, giving him the ability to make flawless bootleg holograms that perfectly copied COAs from the biggest names in the business. He even bought millions of dollars of real memorabilia to mix in with his fakes, giving his inventory an air of legitimacy. He exploited the false sense of security collectors had built up after bullpen and the industry safeguards. It worked flawlessly, until it didn't. The case exposed how motivation and modern technology can erode the trust guarantees that collectors relied on for so many years. It was a brutal wake-up call for the entire industry. What struck me was how openly he admitted the thrill. It wasn't just about money. It was about the power, outsmarting the system and watching competitors fall. The Brett Lemieux scandal came to a tragic end on July 16, 2025, with his reported suicide during the investigation. No formal charges were filed against him due to his death, but the probe continues into potential accomplices. Police seized thousands of fake items from Mr. Mancave's warehouses, and the confession manifesto serves as a detailed roadmap for the investigation. The impact was immediate. Collectors questioned their purchases, authentication companies like Fanatics and JSA tightened hologram security, and the sports memorabilia industry faced a reckoning on forgery detection. The law of supply and demand. Tens of thousands of fake autographs flooded the market, artificially driving down prices of legitimate items and costing people real money. It led to calls for better regulations and transparency in online sales. Fanatics pointed out they'd upgraded their authentication technology 2 years earlier to combat fraud, and that new hologram hasn't been cracked yet. It's a good start. But the calls are becoming louder for using blockchain technology across all memorabilia, making counterfeiting virtually impossible. Blockchain, most closely associated with cryptocurrency, links each item to a unique digital record, creating a secure, tamper-proof history. The downside? It's expensive to implement, complex to roll out, and if the item isn't properly authenticated to begin with, the digital certificate just authenticates a forgery. Lemieux's technological edge, autopens, vectorized signatures, bootleg holograms, gave him powerful tools to commit fraud at scale. But technology alone doesn't create a $350 million empire. What really sent this scheme into the stratosphere was his brazen attitude and sheer motivation. In his manifesto, he openly admitted the addiction, the thrill of watching competitors buckle. He knew exactly how to intimidate and silence anyone who questioned him, through the use of threats and bullying. He wasn't just forging signatures, he was forging fear. That's the pattern I've seen throughout history in every massive fraud case. There's always a larger-than-life figure who turns a scheme into a phenomenon. Charles Ponzi, Jordan Belfort, Bernard Madoff, and in the memorabilia world, Brett Lemieux. It's rarely just the method. It's the aggressive personality willing to push it further than anyone else. And now, as it always does, the burden shifts to law enforcement and the legal system to hold everyone involved accountable and help the victims recover what they can. In January 2026, Indiana filed a lawsuit against Lemieux's company under the state's Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organization Statute, RICO, alleging they operated a corrupt enterprise through a pattern of racketeering. If successful, it would give victims a huge advantage: potential triple damages, attorney's fees, and specialized remedies to seize assets. The FBI's criminal investigation is still ongoing. The legal process is still unfolding, and the case continues to draw attention. In fact, I was recently interviewed by a reporter from Bloomberg for a major feature on the Lemieux case. It's expected to run in Bloomberg Business Week sometime in April. It's a reminder that this story is still very much alive and attracting interest from major outlets. Collectors who spend thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, on authenticated items suddenly had to question everything they owned. Some saw their collections lose 30 to 50% of value overnight as doubt spread through the market. It wasn't just money, it was trust. This case changed the memorabilia landscape in 2026 and beyond. Items graded by PSA are reportedly facing drops in resale value, and collectors are being more cautious across the board, gravitating towards major auction houses that offer buyer protections and stronger guarantees. The days of blindly trusting a hologram or certificate are over, at least for now. That's the story of the Brett Lemieux memorabilia forgery scandal, from flawless fakes to a $350 million empire of deception. Now let me leave you with a few final thoughts. Every case has its place on what I call the deception spectrum, and this one sits right in the middle: organized forgery on a massive scale. It wasn't a lone forger scamming one collector, but it also wasn't a systemic attack on the entire economy. It was a coordinated ring that exploited trust in the sports memorabilia world, big enough to shake an industry, but contained enough that most people outside it never felt the impact. Now for today's lie detector tip, a practical, field-tested technique to help you uncover lies or protect yourself from them before it's too late. Today's tip is one I've used in the toughest cases to uncover lies hidden in plain sight. When you're dealing with documents, artifacts, or anything claiming to be authentic, the very first thing I do is verify the chain of custody and hunt for inconsistencies that don't add up. A single mismatch in provenance, A hologram that's slightly off, a signature that's too perfect, or prices that are suspiciously low compared to the market are often the cracks that expose the whole scheme. This gets especially tricky with historic pieces, like a bat supposedly used by a famous player from the past. No photos from the moment, no holograms to check, and the chain of custody is usually sketchy at best. In those cases, you have to think outside the box and do your own investigation. I've done this kind of work myself, with a 1920s bat allegedly used by a famous Yankee. The provenance story sounded good, a relative who worked at Yankee Stadium, but stories aren't facts. I knew it needed more, so I checked the fundamentals. Weight and size, did it match what the player actually used? The age and type of wood? Did the wear patterns make sense for real play? That combination told the authenticity story. In another case, I had to confirm the identity of a legendary piece of Olympic memorabilia, a flag from a historic medal ceremony. The provenance story was compelling, but someone else also claimed to have the real one, so I went deeper. I matched tears, fraying, and specific stains in photographs from the era, and together they painted a clear picture. It was the real flag. I also verified a football from one of the most famous plays in NFL history. The provenance story was credible, but reviewing game footage frame by frame fell just short of conclusive, so I cross-checked with witness interviews, including a retired referee who officiated the game, and that carried the day. None of these things alone would have been enough, but together they told the truth. These are the lengths sometimes required to get real peace of mind in the memorabilia world. If you want more practical ways to spot lies and uncover the truth, not just in memorabilia but in any interview or conversation, I put together a free guide, 7 proven strategies to spot lies and uncover the truth in any interview. It's available right now on the website, followtheliespodcast.com. Go grab it. It's completely free. In the Lemieux case, the fake holograms and provenance gaps were the telltale signs. His prices were too good to be true compared to the market. We call that a clue. Always run the unique serial numbers through the manufacturer's database, check holograms from multiple angles, and look for blurry edges or mismatched fonts. Trust your gut when something feels off. That's how you protect yourself from deception hiding in plain sight. In future episodes, I'll share more of the real-world red flags that have helped me and can help you stay one step ahead of the next lie. From flawless holograms to a $350 million empire of lies, we followed the lies of the Brett Lemieux scandal. Over 4 million forged items, hundreds of millions in sales, and a tragic end that shook the sports memorabilia world. No doubt more changes are coming in response to this fraud. But for now, online forgeries, counterfeit auctions, and shady marketplaces are still around every corner. Remember the lie detector tip from earlier. Trust your gut when something feels off. Check those holograms and serial numbers, and never ignore a price that seems too good to be true. Those little clues can save you from a big loss. Next time, we're diving into another huge one, the Bernard Madoff Ponzi scheme. Has fraud ever disrupted your life or someone close to you? I'd really like to hear about it. Send your story to kevin@followtheliespodcast.com. It could become the next episode and help others avoid the same fate. Hit subscribe, leave a rating and review. It really helps us reach more people. And if you're on YouTube, tap the bell to never miss a show. Quick reminder, the free guide, 7 proven strategies to spot lies and uncover the truth in any interview, is available right now at followtheliespodcast.com. Thanks for listening. Until next time, follow the lies.